So suddenly, everybody loves Dragonstorm. It's very interesting. This is probably the atypical case of the release that no one saw coming, or the people that have been paying attention for years and years and years, and I guess watched every single Alpha Investments video in which he talked about the new set coming up. And there's like 5 to 10 videos leading towards that, and then that final video where people are scrambling to get the set when those previous videos no one cared, or people were saying the set was trash, or people were saying that you know it's going to fail. I'll get it, at an Amazon dump, or I'll wait until the price lowers, that kind of thing. Now, not every set does that. Most sets just sort of come and go, and then there's sets that come and fail miserably. And then, during 2022, that was pretty much all of them. But who knows whether it's based on the sets themselves or based on the economics of the situation. But the two that we have sort of in living memory, meaning that the life on the internet lasts, days at best, but up to a year, I guess, is Murders of Karlov Manor and Aetherdrift. So we have those as examples of sets where everyone was not interested in them, and then they proved that they weren't interested in them by not buying them. And eventually, with Murders of Karlov Manor, sales have, maybe increased a little bit over time, and Aetherdrift will probably do the same thing, especially because we're in a better situation at this point in time. But there's always those sets that people treat as if they're Murders at Karlov Manor or they're Aetherdrift, but in reality, they're Fallout, they're Lord of the Rings, they're Doctor Who. I don't know how down people were on Lord of the Rings. I don't really, for whatever reason, I didn't watch a lot of videos one way or the other on Lord of the Rings. Maybe people were always excited about Lord of the Rings, because then there's, once in a while, there's sets like that, and we have Final Fantasy. So the narrative around Tarkir Dragonstorm, I wanted to say Dragons of Tarkir, or, I don't know, A Storm of Swords, or Dance with Dragons, whatever. The narrative around it was that Final Fantasy is sucking all the capital out of the room. And that might be the case, but then as soon as spoiler season came and the cards were dropped, the narrative changed completely. And that often happens with sets in Magic the Gathering, where, for whatever reason, someone has an opinion on a set before they even know what the set is. No one was anti-Tarkir. They weren't like with Murders of Karlov Manor, where they just don't like the idea of it, or even with Outlaws of Thunder Junction, where they don't like the new thing that we're calling these sets, the sets with hats. Nobody's like that with Tarkir. People either don't care about Tarkir or really like Tarkir, or like a little, or whatever. And everybody likes dragons. I think it was on an Alpha Investments video, or someone's video where it was. No, actually, no, I don't remember which video. But the point is, someone was talking about people upgrading their decks with dragons, or their dragon decks, or whatever. How many people have dragon decks? And if the numbers from Wizards of the Coast are right, and there's 50 million people that play Magic the Gathering, which I think is an active amount. There's probably more than that, if you count the people who are no longer playing, but maybe have stuff in their basement or attic or whatever. The point is, how many of those have dragon decks? And in any format, Commander, Standard, Modern, Legacy, Pauper, whatever, I would say, I was going to say 20 million people have dragon decks, but the person that commented said that maybe it's 1 million that have dragon decks. So let's just say it's somewhere between 1 and 20 million people. And that's who's looking for Tarkir Dragonstorm. So it was already doing quite well financially, so anyone who was sort of down on the set saying that it wasn't going to do well was, the numbers weren't really showing that, and now they're definitely not showing that, and suddenly everyone's really excited about it, and they weren't necessarily excited about it before. But it's just interesting that these sets have this effect where people are so convinced something is going to happen, and then the opposite happens. And that happens quite a bit in the card world. I mean, it happened with Pokemon last year around just after the summer with Twilight Masquerade, and then things started pumping with Pokemon, and the narrative completely shifted around Pokemon. And what really changed? I don't think it was print numbers. I don't think it was better sets. With Pokemon, it seemed that the pulls were harder. It was harder to get the good cards, and the rest of Scarlet and Violet, it was relatively easy, especially with the Obsidian Flame. That one, apparently, it was really, really easy to get the EX cards or the good cards or whatever. I opened one box. Matt opened a box. Yeah, it seemed relatively easy. I mean, but Twilight Masquerade didn't seem that much more difficult from what I remember, but I don't know. But in any case, this is about Tarkir. This is about the narrative shifting around the set, and suddenly everyone's scrambling to get collector booster boxes, play booster boxes, or commander sets, and those commander sets haven't been spoiled yet as of now. I don't think so. So that might be a scramble as well. And there's really no reason, just so you know, to scramble for play booster boxes, commander decks. There might be for bundles, because I don't think they re-up those ever. Collector boxes, everyone knows that collector booster boxes at this point are one and done. So those bundles and collector booster boxes, if you really, really want them, yeah, you might have to scramble for them. And the prices are starting to rise as a result. And interesting that a small store recently put up some pre-orders that, and I don't remember them doing pre-orders before, so I guess they got quite a bit of Tarkir, and more than I thought that they normally get. And then there's more pre-orders going up with larger stores in Canada and stuff like that. And I've mentioned in previous videos that for whatever reason, the tariffs aren't affecting the collector booster boxes, but they are affecting the play booster boxes, which is maybe another reason to hang on before getting play booster boxes, unless, the tariff situation gets worse, at which point, maybe not. I don't know. But I just thought it was kind of strange, kind of interesting that, last week there was no real noise on Tarkir. And then suddenly this week, skyrockets in flight. Is that? Let me look off into the distance and figure out whether that's what I was supposed to say. If that's what the phrase is, I don't know. Somebody tell me if I got that phrase correct. Skyrockets in flight. Dragons in flight. Dragons in a storm. Dragonstorm. The Storm Dragon. Anyway, let me know what you're thinking about with Tarkir, what you're excited about, and how this set's going to do on release.